topic of our talk today is, if you had the chance, would you change the world? And I think if you asked everybody in this room, I hope everyone would say yes. Whether it's something big or something small, there's something about the world you would change. Our whole concept, our whole idea started actually when I was in university. I was a political science student. Instead of taking 4 years to do my degree, it took me 7. I spent a lot of time traveling around the world. I visited 34 different countries. The idea actually came when I was in Nepal. I was doing a Mount Everest base camp trek. And we were up about 24,000 feet, so it's about 2 days below base camp. And we're on this little rocky, narrow trail. And I'm dressed completely in down in a North Face outfit. There was a 15-year-old kid behind me carrying 2 bags. I wasn't carrying anything. It was 30 below, and we passed an old man on the trail. And through our interpreter, we had a quick conversation with this guy. He was 73 years old. He had 9 kids who he hadn't seen in 2 years. He was wearing no shoes. He was barefoot. He had no gloves. He had no hat. He had no jacket. He had ripped pants and a ripped shirt. And he was carrying this enormous basket, very similar to what you're seeing there, made out of grass. And we asked him what he was doing, and he was getting paid 25 cents a day, US, to carry this basket up the mountain. And what we did is we looked inside the basket, and all it was cans and cans and cans of cola. And so at that point, we realized that some of the biggest companies in the world were making money literally off the backs of the poorest people on the planet. And at the time, Nepal would have been the 3rd poorest country in the world. So I came back, and I was still a student. I started doing research and realized that lack of food and water is the #1 killer. It's more than, if you added the worst diseases in the world together, lack of food and water still kills more people. It's astonishing. It's a child every 6 seconds approximately. So I thought, why couldn't we have a company that could compete with the biggest companies in the world, have a great product, have a great culture around their company, but at the end of the day, we would give everything we made back to people who really needed it. And that's the mandate of our business model, is to give 100% of our profits back to the United Nations World Food Program. And so we came up with this idea, but we had nowhere to start. So we started here in Edmonton. No one would sell our product. We started with bottled water. We begged a guy to sell it. Finally, on the very first day, he said, yes, I'll sell it. We put it on the shelf. And we had 1 customer. The next day, we had 2. The phone started ringing. We had 4. We had 10. We had booths on the street where we were just selling it ourselves in parks, at events. We had an old van my grandfather gave me that we'd run around and deliver the water in the afternoon, and we'd run the company during the daytime. It started very, very small.
So Kori and I, we both consider ourselves very lucky to come from what we would call relatively privileged families. We were lucky enough to have opportunities to join sports teams and go on great ski trips with the family and get a good education. And we started realizing this through all the travel that we were doing, as Kori mentioned. That was a picture there of my parents and I in Ecuador. They started a medical mission that goes to South America and provides surgical care for free for people that can't afford it down there. And after one of the first trips which I had gone on, I came back, and Kori and I were working in a tiny little ski shop in Edmonton, and we worked Sundays. It would be dead in the store. We'd just be messing around in the back talking about this idea, and that's kind of where things started to get legs. And in those early days, we really had no marketing budget whatsoever. We kind of consider ourselves the very small fish in the pond. There's giant food and beverage companies out there that dominate us and dominate our space. So we rely heavily on kind of alternative marketing and thinking a little bit unconventionally. Some of the things we do, this is a promotion that we did with Lululemon across Canada, where every store, they sold a pallet of water. And by doing that, they were able to drill 1 well. So we dug 100 wells in 1 weekend through these stores. And this is a guy who rode his bike for 4 hours straight until every single bottle was gone. And the media came out, and everyone gets involved. This is a sports team, a professional sports team. The owner is a great guy who really believes in our project, and he donates space for us. This is a logo, and they all drink our water. And this is stuff that we really don't have the access of doing. But we rely kind of on thinking a little bit more out of the box for our marketing. When we were smaller, we used to go on sales trips where Kori and I would start at the eastern seaboard. Kori would start in New York, I'd start in Northern California. We'd rent a van and we'd drive down the coast, and we'd stop in on all the stores that were carrying our product and do demos, just because we need that opportunity to get in front of people and tell our story. And we'd have room for a hotel in the budget maybe once every 4 days. So in the meantime, we'd park in really nice neighborhoods and sleep in the back of the van and go to Starbucks in the morning and brush our teeth and hit IKEA for the 99-cent breakfast and then get back on the road. Anyways, part of our project, or our product, we really believe that not only do we want to do good with our profits, but we want to procure our products from good places. This is a farm in Nicaragua about 2 weeks ago where we get our coffee from, and we visit these farms to make sure that the workers are getting paid fair, equitable wages, that they're working in safe conditions. We really want to make sure that from top to bottom the product it comes from a good, safe place. These are the farmers down there. This is a farm just outside of Edmonton, about an hour outside, which allows us to procure our product within 100 kilometers. And again, it's really important for us to try to produce as locally as possible and responsibly as possible.
We're also, I mean, we sell products all over the world now. We're in 12 countries, selling products, raising money for the World Food Program, but we're always trying to stay ahead of it. We're trying to come up with new ways, new unconventional ways to change the world. We've always believed that the best way to predict the future is definitely to invent it. This is a project we're working on with the designer, actually the grandson of the designer who did the Sydney Opera House. This is essentially a 4-liter Lego bottle. What happens in times of disaster is that water needs to come into a situation very quickly, about 3 days before people really start dying quickly. So it comes out of airplanes, gets dropped out of trucks, whatever necessity, but these people are living literally under a sheet or under a piece of cardboard or nowhere, and they're freezing to death in the middle of the night. So we came up with this bottle, about 4 liters, you drink it, afterwards you fill it with sand or dirt, which in most of these places there's plenty of it. You put them together and you can build a structure. So we're working with Engineers Without Borders and testing this right now, and we hope we can get something like this into the field hopefully soon. This is another project we're working on, hoping to get it out right away. It's a new credit card that I'm sure everybody's got a credit card that has some sort of affinity program where you get free movie tickets or you get Aero Miles or some ridiculous program where you get a free toaster after so many dollars that you spend. Well, this one you'll get human miles. So you'll use our card, you'll get human miles, you'll log in, and Matt can log into his site and say, Matt's got 10,000 points because he's used his card all year. Well, with those points, he can drill a well in Africa, he can send a kid to school for a year, he can buy a family a goat, he can do all sorts of interesting things. So we're going to hopefully get something like that out there pretty quickly.
There's businesses out there that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every month and they just collect these points and they go absolutely nowhere. So we're trying to look at a bit of a different way of how those can go to good use.
Yeah, and we're a very unique company. We're the only company in the world partner with the United Nations World Food Program. In fact, we're the only company in the world that's able to use their logo on a product. They're amazing people. The World Food Program is the largest humanitarian agency in the world, by far. Incredible people, obviously based out of New York and Geneva. Very passionate. These people are the first in, last to leave in every situation. They're some of the only people operating in places like North Korea and South Sudan right now, where no one else is operating right now. And they're feeding both sides. No matter who it is, they're making sure people are getting food and water and education to the children in these awful areas. This is, we were in the Philippines just recently, and this is just a quick 30-second video of the country director in the Philippines. These are just extremely passionate people. This guy's like Indiana Jones, amazing man.
Filling part of my job. And so I always take every opportunity to try to come and be with our staff, and then I also learn how better I can support our operations on the ground. If we need to fine-tune some aspect of our work or administrative support, because all those things have to come together for the World Food Program to do its job properly.
And this is a village we were walking through that was absolutely devastated by flooding, where thousands of people were killed while they slept during the evening. Anytime you see the WFP out there, they're the logistics branch of the UN. So UNICEF, World Health Organization, all runs underneath what the World Food Program is able to do. Sometimes we have to do very interesting things to get food to people. I mean, we have to come up with unconventional solutions to get food. We're literally bombing food into areas with bags in some cases. A lot of the projects that we're doing are in the most remote, hostile environments on the planet. So you have to do whatever you can to get the food and water in as quickly as possible. So we try to get as creative as possible.
And the WFP, as Kori mentioned, they're the shell organization within which all Red Cross and UNDP and World Health Organization work within. And the good thing about our relationship with them is that every time we donate $1, that entire dollar goes right into the field. None of the money that we give is tied up in administration fees, so we can really know that what we're doing is benefiting people 100%.
Yeah, it's an incredible organization. Just to quickly talk about some of the projects we're doing. We started as a tiny company with one employee, and 5 years later, we're doing projects all over the world, helping hundreds of thousands of people. Just a couple of recent projects in Sudan and Ethiopia. We did 5 kilometers worth of water pipeline, wells, distribution points to refugee camps. Some of these refugee camps are holding 100,000 people. They're like cities the size of, Saskatoon, essentially, where people are living in the middle of nowhere under extremely poor situations.
Another project we did a few years back was in Bangladesh, and again, the water, the distribution points, the wells, and it just ensures that these people who previously had to walk 5-10 kilometers for fresh drinking water, now they only have to walk up to 1 kilometer, and they're not walking through areas where they might, a girl could be raped or a kid could be kidnapped. It just brings everything really close to their community and ensures safety.
From there, we did a pretty massive project where we provided food, water, and education to 280,000 children after the devastating earthquakes in Haiti, where we were able to get in there and help as quickly as possible. So, again, an awful project.
And then 2 years back, we did another project in Kenya, another 250,000 meals provided to children there. And one of the things that we try to do as well is we're not just providing food and water, it's the education component that we really try to stress. So you're ensuring that these people they're going, when you kind of bribe the kid to go to school, he's getting a safe place to spend the day, but he's also getting a meal. And if you're a girl, you get a meal to take back home to the family as well. So instead of just educating, or providing the food and water, you're also educating communities and helping them to lift themselves out of the abject poverty that they find themselves in.
Yeah, it's a well-known fact that if you educate the females in a community, it changes the destiny of the entire community very quickly. Our most recent project was actually in the Philippines, and Matt and I actually had a chance to go visit this one. It was in the southern Philippines in the island of Mindanao region. This area was hit by tsunamis, it was hit by earthquakes, it was hit by flooding, typhoons, as well as a ton of violence in the area. There's some insurgency going on, which completely isolated the community there. The first project we did is we were working small hospitals, about 1/20th the size of this room, where we provide food to mothers and their children who have kids between the ages of 0 and 2 years old. Most of them are single mothers, and a lot of the kids are orphans because their families were wiped out during the violence or in the floods. This is a sort of a peanut butter, fortified peanut butter that we supply to the mothers. And this is also Immunization Day, so we're involved in a lot of immunizations as well in this area.
The whole experience was incredible. We flew into essentially it was a dirt path picked up by 6 Toyota Land Cruisers, ripped through the jungle for 3 hours through military checkpoints and the makeshift highway, and came around the corner to that big hand-painted sign. There were children singing for us. They were putting garlands around our neck. It was just an overpowering experience. And we actually got there right during feeding time as well. So the energy in the air was just absolutely palpable. These kids were so excited. They were getting their one meal for the day. They were spending time with each other. They were kicking a ball around that was made out of God knows what, but it was just bringing them together, and it was just really powerful to see the human spirit there and how happy they were, even though they had recently just had everything taken away from them.
Yeah, this village was absolutely devastated, and the kids were telling us stories about how their entire families would have to hide in the mangrove forests for the violence and the insurgents to leave, and they would just be trying to eat whatever they could find in the sort of the shallow waters right around where they're hiding for days. It's incredible. We got to talk to them. All of them, of course, wanted to be teachers and doctors and nurses, and it was really like the most heartwarming experience of my life, to be honest. Yeah.
So just a few concluding thoughts here. Thank you. It's well known, it's documented. Every 6 seconds, a child is passing away from lack of food and water. And it's not that we need to find a new technology or come up with something to help save these people. We just simply need to get the product into their hands.
And just to put that in perspective, while Matt and I have been talking with you today, 60 children have died strictly from lack of food and water. It's shocking.
Alternatively, right now, where we're at as a company, we're providing food, water, and education to a child every 115 seconds.
Our goal as a company is to reverse that trend. We really feel that we need to be providing food and water and education to a child every 5 seconds and try to offset the fact that we're losing a child every 6 seconds. And as a company, that's our goal.
Yeah, and we're getting close. Current growth, if we could be there in 5 years, hopefully less, but we really feel like we can achieve that. And it starts with opportunities like this, getting to tell our story and encouraging people to understand, you're going to be out there buying these products anyways. Why not buy a product that costs the same, it tastes the same, but at the end of the day, it gives back to the people that need it most. So with that, thank you very much for having us out.